Ledger.
the Star Ledger and the Home News, and by posting a copy on the public bulletin board and filing the same with the city clerk. I guess we got to call the roll. Jonathan Cabbage.
Here.
Anthony? No, he's not here. Clara Bell.
Here.
Reverend Lauren.
Here.
Brother Jude.
Here.
And Father Bell.
Here.
Right.
That falls good.
Okay, so just one absent. I think we should probably have approval of minutes on here too. We did circulate minutes. I take credit or debit for it, whichever is applicable.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It was motion by Clary, second by Don.
Done.
Everyone unanimous.
Very good. Guess we're on old business now. Complaint filed by Charles Proudville against Council President Fleming. Would the chair like me to sort of summarize the complaint for
Sure.
the board? The complaint filed by Mr. Proudville is dated January 17, 2018. I think the essential allegations are in counts 1 through 5. And count 1 says that Mr. Fleming failed to disclose his sources of income and his spouse's income on his June 11, 2014 financial disclosure statement. Count 2 alleges that Mr. Fleming failed to disclose his sources of income and his spouse's sources of income on his April 28, 2015 financial disclosure statement. Count 3 says that Mr. Fleming incorrectly stated that his spouse's source of income was BlackRock Industries on his August 19, 2015 amended financial disclosure statement. Count 4, Mr. Fleming allegedly incorrectly stated that his spouse's source of income was BlackRock Industries on his April 28, 2016 financial disclosure statement. And count 5, Mr. Fleming incorrectly stated that his spouse's source of income was BlackRock Industries and failed to disclose their joint ownership of the property at 21 North Pennington Road in New Brunswick on his April 24, 2017 financial disclosure statement. Okay, I believe Mr. Fleming is present here
Yes.
tonight. Would you like to come up and have a seat, Mr. Fleming? Thank you for hearing. You're aware, I think I said in my letter, that you're not obligated to make any statements at this time. Also, you are entitled to have an attorney represent you if you so choose. Having said that, I just wanted to note, I had my secretary check the website of the local government, Division of Local Government Services today, and I'm going to pass these out. By the way, why don't we introduce into evidence the complaint dated January 17, 2018. Is that okay? Sure. Remark that, remark from B1 or by way of information, the procedure that we follow when there's a complaint is that the board assigns a subcommittee of 2 members to evaluate the complaint and report their recommendation to the full board at the event. The executive session will be held, and then the board makes a determination if there's, in essence, probable cause or at least a reasonable doubt as to whether a violation took place. It also says that under the standard operating procedures, it said, well, the subsections about the preliminary receipt of a complaint are silent regarding the service of a copy of the complaint on the accused at the preliminary stage of the proceedings. It should be noted that these events are usually accompanied by public notice or knowledge, and therefore the board adopts as policy that a copy of the complaint be served on the accused by regular mail upon initial receipt, since no duty to answer or defend arises until the appropriate findings are made pursuant to section 22510B. An accused public employee/officer shall not be required to file a response, although if he or she does, the board may in its discretion consider such submission in reaching a decision to hold a public hearing as required by the rules. I passed out a copy of the amended financial disclosure statements filed by Mr. Fleming. I'll show you a copy. Did you get a copy?
Yes, I did.
That looks like what you filed,
Yes.
the amended ones. So why don't we mark those into evidence as part of the record. Again, you're not obligated to say anything, Mr. Fleming, but I'm just going through these because there doesn't appear to be much dispute about the facts here, so I'll correct you if anything I say is incorrect. The 2014 amended financial disclosure statement does have the corrected information inserted. It has the sources of income for Mr. Fleming and his spouse. I noticed that it says Black Rock rather than Black Rock Industries, which I guess was the source of some confusion, because Black Rock is a large hedge fund or a similar type investment organization. BlackRock Industries apparently is a company that does some business with the city of New Brunswick, so your wife does not work for BlackRock Industries, and therefore she's not involved in any way with the city. I noticed that on this in 2014 you put Hamilton Township. It's actually Hamilton Township Board of Education, but I think 99 Park Avenue, I think, would be understood as the Board of Education. You also did list your residence of 21 North Pennington as property owned by yourself and your spouse. So that appears to have been corrected. The 2015 FDS also has the same information. In that one, you actually put Hamilton Township Board of Education. You did list your real estate there and the other information. The 2016 you likewise corrected the information. You have your sources of income, your spouse's sources single source or personal appearance, feature, or writing listed. And there is your residence listed as a real estate owned by yourself and your spouse. And then finally, the 2017, which was amended. By the way, these were amended, it looks like, all on the same date, which was January 23rd, 2018, with the exception of the 2014 financial disclosure statement, which I guess was, not sure, that says 2/26/18, was that?
Yes.
That was actually done today, okay. I'd like to know. All right. And going back to 2017, looks like that is now, apparently, these mistakes have been corrected. So, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are you indicating that essentially the information that you had previously considered was...
No, I think we were here in 2015, and like I said, I had previously stated before, and I'm saying who stated right now, just for the record, that there was no information before we dealt with when we changed over the systems. I have no financial gain came from this. I mean, my wife, BlackRock, you know, she works for BlackRock. As far as I know, she went from Merrill Lynch to BlackRock. Maybe mom at fault for not asking her, you know, was it BlackRock Corporation, BlackRock Industries? But I asked you to look at this, and what do I actually have to gain from this? What do I have to gain from saying she works at BlackRock or BlackRock Industries? You know, it was just like I said, she works for BlackRock. You know, I go there, pull up, and the sign says BlackRock there. I'm not as detailed, you know, we're not as detailed as we should be sometimes. You know, so I had no financial gain from that. There was nothing from that. I had no financial gain to say that my only property that I own right now is my house. As if I'm hiding, where I'm neighbors with some people, as if I'm hiding my house. And you know, previously I said there was no reason for me to hide the fact, which is in my biography and everything else. I've been in the public eye for a long time, that I'm a teacher. And I've been a teacher for a very long time. And everybody knows that I'm a councilman. Yeah, I made mistakes before, but right now, this board is being used as a political bludgeon. You know, it's like, you know, what happens is, I get accused of something, then we have to call the board together, it goes out into the public, but you don't have to, you know, even though it gets cleared or whatever happens, it'll always be that thing now, where I have kids now who can read and say, oh, look what you've been charged with. It's like, it's not even the point of if it's true or not, it's the point that you have to come in and defend it. And I'm just saying right now for the record that I've been in the public eye for a very long time. I've been coaching, I've been in this community for almost 50 years. Never, ever, ever have I been accused of something like that until I got into the political eye. Why? Because we might have a political disagreement with people. So now, all of a sudden, it becomes I'm unethical or I'm breaking some type of law. I haven't done that. You can look up my record and stuff like that. But the point is that you even have to come and defend it. It's like when people, you know, they ask a question, a public question. You go into a debate. Okay, when did you stop beating up your girlfriend? It's not the point that it's true, but it's the point that you have to defend it. And that when that goes out into the public sphere, it goes out into the atmosphere, and people, you know, they hear it and may even believe a little bit of it. And I'm stating right now for the record that there was nothing here that was untoward that said, okay, I'm gonna, you know what, I'm gonna hide the fact that I'm a teacher. Even though everybody knows I've been teaching for the last 23 years, and it's been in the public eye. I'm gonna hide where my wife works at. For one word, with one word, BlackRock Industries or BlackRock. Probably not gonna be BlackRock Incorporated. You know, I was just like, she works for BlackRock. You know, so we put it on the statement, and that's what it was. You know, okay, we dropped the word now, and does that change anything? It's not like she's trying to do business with the city or anything like that. And I didn't want to bring her into it, but now it brings her into the public sphere now. Because now I'm trying to hide my family. You know, that's when it brings my family into it. So that's how I feel. That's all I'm going to say right now. And I just ask you to look at it and see if you really think that I try to make any type of financial gain or try to do anything untoward or try to cover up anything.
Okay. Thank you. And does the board have any questions, specific questions that they want to ask Mr. Fleming? You know, he doesn't have to say anything at this point, but he's pretty much laid his cards on the table at this point. So in the interest of expediting the matter, I guess I will ask him if he would answer any questions if they had any.
You better raise them. Sure.
Yeah. By the way, just raise your hand.
Okay.
swear to tell the truth?
The whole truth and nothing but the truth. So,
Thank you. Very good. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask? Doesn't look like it. I don't see any raising their hands. All right.
I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward matter. I guess according to the procedure of the board, we should probably adjourn to the executive session and discuss briefly what you feel should be appropriate in this matter.
Does that have to be read in what we talked about, as far as, it doesn't?
Well, we'll talk about it in the executive.
Executive session, okay.
Just give us can we have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go into executive session, 6 point. Second.
Motion by Frank. Second. Who's not second that? Okay. Two. Roll call vote. Donna?
Yes.
Anthony's not here. Clarabelle?
Yes.
Reverend Warren?
Yes.
Reverend Drew? Yes. And Reverend Frank?
Yes.
Okay. So now we will adjourn to executive session.
Actually, we have to stay here, then they will have to go out because this room is locked.
Oh, okay. All right.
If you could.
I think we're going back on the record. And we have a motion to go back into public session.
I make a motion to come back to the public session.
And a second.
Also.
Reverend Jude. Donna?
Okay.
Pardon?
Mr. Fleming?
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. I just, roll call. That's my
Yes. Sorry,
Uh,
yes.
Reverend Warren?
Here.
Brother Jude?
Yes.
Reverend Frank?
Yes.
And did I call everybody? Huh?
Me,
Clara?
here.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Okay. Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
the board has looked at all of, your financial disclosure statements and the fact that, you have made changes to the financial disclosure statements. We don't feel that you intentionally did anything wrong here, that it was just errors, and we want to warn you not to do that again, that in the future, all of your statements should be completed. At this time, we feel that you've made all the corrections that you needed to make, and we're satisfied with that. Anyone else want to comment?
I just concur. I know I'm not a detailed person either, so I have understand. So just got to pay attention to the details. We know that you were not trying to do anything to hide anything or have some excessive gains from what we do. So we appreciate your service.
Thank you.
any other comments? Okay. I'll read something and then we can have the board vote on it. This matter comes before the board on the complaint of Mr. Cradville, Charles Cradville, and it basically charges that Mr. Fleming failed to include required information on his CFRs for the years 2014 through 2017. We have already discussed the details of those omissions earlier in the meeting. Mr. Fleming voluntarily came before the board. He quite candidly admitted to the board that he had omitted certain information, apparently inadvertently. The board has looked at this matter and does not see any possible attempt to conceal any damaging or inculpatory information that might disclose any conflict on the part of Mr. Fleming or his family. He's been cooperative with the board, thus saving time and money for all concerned. Appears to the board that he is perhaps more aware of the importance of getting this information correct the first time on his financial disclosure statement. The board recognizes that it's a little bit vexatious sometimes filling out these forms, but they are there for a purpose and they are important, and therefore the board admonishes Mr. Fleming to try to be more accurate in his future statements and not inadvertently omit necessary information. And the board feels that issuing a warning or an admonishment to Mr. Fleming is sufficient in this matter, and that it does not detect any intent to deceive or any deliberate malfeasance. At worst, only carelessness or a little bit of negligence. So that would be the essence of the finding of the board, and in essence, you are issuing a warning to, an admonishment to Mr. Fleming to be more careful in the future, and that you are satisfied that the disclosure statements, as they are now filed, appear to be adequate for the purposes intended. So the next thing, I guess, would be for somebody to make a motion to adopt findings as I have read them.
I make a motion to adopt the findings. As read.
I second.
Okay. Motion by Reverend Frank. Second by
Donna.
Donna. All right. Donna?
Yes.
Anthony's not here. Clarabelle?
Yes.
Reverend Warren?
Yes.
Reverend Jude?
Yes.
And Reverend Frank.
Yes.
So that is unanimously adopted, and I guess that concludes the matter.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and helping us to resolve this matter expeditiously.
Thank you.
And
Take care.
hopefully we won't have to see you again.
In a different light.
Thank you. The chair, please. Thank you. Is there any new business?
Anyone have any new business we need to address?
Apparently not. Is there anything that needs to be discussed? We don't, at the present time, I guess, have any additional complaints before us, although that could change anytime. But if that is the case, then there would not appear to be a necessity of scheduling a meeting at this time.
No.
So,
Not.
is there anything else that the board feels wants to discuss? Any unfinished, I don't know whether any further discussion has been made about the website or anything of that type.
It has not. I will look into it this month, in March, and I'll send a report to the board.
As I mentioned, mentioned at the last meeting, apparently there's some budgetary issues with having a secretary, so I think I've become the de facto secretary. I'll do the best I can. With the help of Karen in the legal department, who's been extremely helpful. And next item.
So I'd open the floor for public comment. Yes, Mr. Tyler.
Good evening, members of the board. Charles Cradaville, New Brunswick, complainant in this matter. I want to say thank you for evaluating it. I respect your decision, even though I disagree with it, and I also disagree with the process that was used. So my first question is with regard to what was said at the last meeting, that there was going to be a subcommittee that was going to evaluate my complaint. Mr. Jones not here. He was one of the two members. I think it was Reverend Rella was the other. What happened to that plan to evaluate it by subcommittee under the standard operating procedures?
There was a conference by phone with the subcommittee. It was discussed in a fair amount of detail.
Yes.
And basically, I think the decision of the board was consistent with the recommendation of the subcommittee.
Okay, so I just wanted that for the record. I appreciate that. So just so you all know, the reason I care so much about this, and I do, did file this complaint, is because as a journalist, these disclosure forms are of critical importance to me to be able to do my job. I go to almost every city council meeting. I look at almost every resolution that's adopted by that body, and as a watchdog, I have to be able to know when there's conflicts of interest that our elected officials may have. And so, though the city may not do business with BlackRock at the present moment, that could change at any moment. The council also does deal with matters that may affect real estate owned by the elected officials. So Mr. Fleming's property that he failed to disclose, 21 North Pennington Road, is something that on any given day the city council could be adopting legislation that could impact the value of that property or the quality of life for people who live there. And I think it's important for that information to be disclosed in the proper way, a proper venue, which is through these disclosure forms. And so it is important. This is not something that's unimportant, as I think Mr. Fleming was kind of trying to gloss it over. Further, he stated that he was not enriching himself or getting any benefit from this. And I will point to my complaint, which notes that in 2016, he did vote to increase his salary on the city council. So he actually has used this position to enrich himself. And that's one of the reasons that I found it important to hold him accountable. The other being, of course, that he had previously sat in that same chair and been warned by this same board to take more caution in the future, just as he was tonight. So respectfully, I disagree with the decision to only give a warning. I think this was a chance to hold one of the most powerful officials in the city accountable for this very important law that was violated. And I think we're not in dispute that the law was violated, but this was a chance to, for the city to get some of that money back that Mr. Fleming got from the taxpayers because he didn't follow the law. And I think that it would have been a good example to others that the law needs to be followed. I also just want to point out that Mr. Fleming mentioned he had never been accused of anything like this until he got into elected office. And that really confused me because he never was required to file disclosure forms until he got into office, and he has screwed them up almost every year since he's been in office. So I think that, that a lot of the arguments Mr. Fleming made were not the type of arguments for someone who would be, I didn't hear the word "I'm sorry." I didn't hear the type of, throwing himself on the mercy of the board that deserved the type of graciousness that the board gave him. I think that, again, respect your decision, but disagree with it. I think that he was not exactly apologetic or didn't really take full responsibility for his own errors. He kind of made excuses, and I think that in the future, when you have somebody powerful who has a complaint against them, you should go through the full process, have a full hearing. Don't let them come sit up at the table with you, and don't necessarily give them so much leeway or so much of the benefit of the doubt, because he's paid, and this is a law that he has to follow, and if he's not going to take ownership of the mistakes he made fully, then you should use your power to implement a punishment, which is, in the grand scheme of things, not tremendously significant. I believe the maximum penalty is $500 per violation, so compared to his city salary, that's a fraction of what he's made from the taxpayers already, and I think it would have been the right thing to do to hold him accountable for his violations instead of letting him off with a warning or kind of an admonishment. But nevertheless, I want to thank you for evaluating the complaint, and look forward to the ethics board getting better and better. And I do think that the board has come a long way in the time I've been coming to meetings. So I want to thank you for allowing me to speak and for hearing me out.
Just one point, Mr. Bradville. You're not implying that Mr. Fleming voting for his salary increase was in any way illegal, are you?
I don't know that it violated law, but I do know that it violates the best practice that a government body should never increase its own pay, certainly not retroactively as was done, and typically, there's actually a constitutional amendment that prevents Congress from doing such a thing. It requires them to adopt any raise to take effect after the next election so that you're not giving yourself a raise. It certainly looks bad and rubbed me the wrong way as a taxpayer citizen.
I understand your personal feelings, but in reality, numerous times governing bodies, including the state legislature, vote themselves increases. It's a tricky, touchy subject, admittedly, because you're voting yourself a raise out of the public treasury. But ultimately, I guess the judgment of the law is that that's a matter for the voters to decide when they cast their next ballot.
You mind if I just say something? Just to answer one thing that you said. I don't think we took it lightly. An admonishment for a politician is a big thing, whether it's 1 cent or it's $10,000. Is the board saying that he did something wrong? And I think that that's something that the public is going to see and hear about. Certainly through your journalism, they're going to hear about it. So it's not something we take lightly. $500 is a drop in the bucket for most people. Especially people who are professionals. However, what comes with that is not a drop in the bucket. So I think that whether we find 1 cent or $0 or $500, it's a big deal.
And I appreciate you, finding that that the law was violated and admonishing him for it. And hopefully, I hope it never happens again.
Me too.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Yeah, I just don't think
I
that.
need your name, please.
My name is Juanita McCoy.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Juanita McCoy,
McCoy, M-C-C-O-Y.
K-O-Y. I just don't feel like the board, being the ethical board, did state that he was, that you didn't agree with what he did. I came here because there's some issues with the way he's handled a lot of things. And I'm a person that was going to speak to some of the things that I've experienced, but it looks like you're not going to hold him accountable for anything, any of the wrongs that he's done. And my issues run pretty deep.
Well,
And him being a
this
politician.
board only deals with specific complaints filed regarding specific matters. If there's
But you said
other
it's-
issues that you have with this gentleman, you always have the right to file your own
And I
complaint.
certainly will do that, but you set a tone. You set a tone today, and what you told me was that, you know, okay, he whatever he did, you kind of like pat him on his hand, and you let him walk away. You clearly found that he did wrong, but you did nothing about it.
Well, we
That's
did something-
disturbing.
We did do something about it. If your
You warned
complaint
him
is,
again.
if your complaint is more serious, then we'll consider that. I mean, we're not gonna, it's not
Yeah, I
one,
have no faith in that.
it's not one judgment fits all. I mean, if there's something else going on, we certainly want to hear about that, and we'll address that.
I
Yeah?
have very little faith in that after what I witnessed today.
Well, I don't know, it's my place to articulate your thoughts, but I think the board took into consideration the fact that the gentleman voluntarily came before you. He had corrected the documents that were incorrect. And I thought candidly admitted that they were incorrect previously. So I got the impression you took that under consideration, but, you know, that's the conclusion of the matter, so it's really surplus at this point.
If there's issues that you want to file a complaint about, I would ask that you would do so. And I hear that you don't want to do anything because of what you've seen today, but I wouldn't let that stop you if it's something that's serious that you want to file a complaint for. Because we will hear all complaints that are filed and consider them. And with that, any other comments? I move for adjournment.
Here, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Somebody want to make the motion?
I make a motion to
Larry,
adjourn the meeting.
second? Robert, you?